The French Dispatch, or the newspaper magazine of the Liberty, Kansas, whatever. It's a long title if you do that one, but it's the French Dispatch. This is the latest film from, I would say, auteur Wes Anderson. Now, speaking of Wes, he is, I think, as an acquired taste as acquired taste can go. You know, there are people that respect his work, that idolize it, and then there are people who are like, this is a little too much for me. And I get that. You know, he is somebody who knows what he's making, is gonna make it, it's gonna look weird and different, and it's gonna be an experience regardless of what happens on film. It is just gonna be creative. And you know what? I won't say I've loved every piece of film he's made, because I haven't. He has made some interesting stuff. There are some great things he's worked on that I do enjoy. And this film, I think, leans more towards the positive side of stuff he's done. I really enjoyed this. It is pretty much him using his familiar beats with his favorite actors, doing something he's known for, and that's just being weird. And it works really well. So the French Dispatch, it's this magazine that we're seeing pretty much like the final paper or like the final release issue that they are dropping. And we're seeing the stories inside that. And it's like splitting up into like little vignettes all circulating about like the events leading to like the death of the, magazine's founder. And it's kind of cool. Like, I do think some of the stories get a little bogged down because they are very familiar stuff we've seen him play with before. And that kind of, just doesn't do much to it. Like, you just watch some of the stuff that is being presented in the stories. You're like, oh, that parallels Rushmore. Oh, that parallels Fantastic Mr. Fox. And that's not bad. Like, every filmmaker does that. They homage their own stuff, or they, like, use their own ideas and they play with those. Again, every filmmaker's done it. But I think just with some of these stories, you fall into like the basic traps where it's like, yeah, this has been something we've seen before from him, so it's not special or new. It's just fun to look at and you enjoy it. So it's kind of split into like almost 5 separate stories. The stuff with Bill Murray being the founder of the paper. Then we have the kind of like just let's walk around, this French street with Owen Wilson for a bit, which is a fun story. I actually really enjoyed that one just because it was just, he's just, just talking about like, look how weird these streets are. This place was once cool and popular. Now it's like desolate and modern. Makes sense to me. I thought that was kind of fun. Then we jump over to the Tilda Swinton story where we see Adrian Brody and Benicio del Toro are, like the famous art piece from this one creator as he's in prison for murdering 2 people. That was a fun story. This one I think it felt the most different than the rest of them. Was just like, it is so Wes Anderson, just like this weird guy in prison painting these stupid things of this naked woman. This one guy thinks it's so special. His uncle's come in to look at it. It is just so funny and weird. And it worked really well. And I will also say, probably my favorite actor in this movie was Tilda Swinton, just because she's great in everything. I think Tilda Swinton is one of the unsung heroes of the modern, actor area. She is just perfect in everything she does. And she just perfectly encapsulates this weird type of woman in here that I just thoroughly enjoyed her performance. It was super fun, super weird, just super interesting. And she just made that entire thing work. And that was it my favorite of the 3 kind of like vignettes we saw? I don't know. It's definitely, I think, the stronger of the 3, where I'm just like, this is very impressive. It's very fun. The story here feels a little new and fresh compared to the rest of them, and I enjoyed that a lot. And then the second vignette we get is the stuff with Frances McDormand and Timothée Chalamet. And this is the one where I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a lot like, Rushmore. Kind of just like this young kid trying to impress a certain woman of a certain stature in attempts to do something with his school academics. And it's fun. It's not, mind-boggling or crazy, but it does go to some extreme lengths with the ideas of chess and warfare and manifestos and what it means to be like a student and what it means to be in love. I think that's really fun. Again, it's pretty standard with what we've seen with Rushmore. I think it doesn't do anything, nearly as good as Rushmore did, but it's still very impressive to see that. And Chalamet does great. Frances McDormand, do I even have to say it? She could literally do anything and it just spin gold. She is fantastic in this, and it's just really fun to see. I think it's my least favorite of the 3. The third one we got was the story of Jeffrey Wright, and he is this kind of like food critic who's being interviewed by Liv Schreiber, and just a really interesting story that just culminates into this fascinating idea about, like politics and, gunfire, and just a really great animated segment. It was a fun story, and I really did like that. And one of the things that was kind of overarching throughout all of these stories was this really interesting concept that writing is a place for the lonely. Now, I think that is a really fun thing to explore. And basically, it's like you can either choose the life of happiness and luxury and glory, or you can be a writer. You can find love with another person, or you could be a writer. Now, I'm not saying that's the theme of this story. It's not like the people who work in magazines and do all this stuff, they're forever lonely and don't have anything else going for them, and that means being a writer will eventually lead to your own demise. I don't think that's what this is going for at all, but it doesn't shy away from the fact that sometimes being a writer, having to be everything in the world for a story, having to be, not invested, but being neutral. There's a great idea of just politically neutral in terms of just like writing. And that can be hard sometimes. And that kind of like attitude does put you away. Like, I can't find love for this thing I'm doing, or I can't be connected to this story or these people. And that does become lonely, which I think it handles it in a very fascinating way that actually works. It doesn't come across as annoying. It doesn't come across as like writers are assholes. It's just like, yeah, this is a job. And with that job, there does come consequences. And with those consequences does come heartbreak or sadness or just an emptiness that you don't get, but you fill it with more writing, and that's enough for you. And some people choose that, and I think that's really cool. It does get to be lonely. Writing can be lonely, but it also can be uplifting. And it's a beautiful message to see in the style of Wes Anderson. Like I said, it's just all the stuff you like. The symmetry is there. The camera work is there. The characters are there. The actors are there. Everything that makes Wes Anderson special is there. And it's very fun. The stories are cute. The concept is fun. And if it's going to just show you a different view on the writing process that I think is very important for anybody who is a young writer. And I think that's a really cool thing to explore. So The French Dispatch really surprised me. I went in with like, oh, this is going to be standard Wes Anderson. And I will say, I think it's slightly better than standard Wes Anderson. It's just very interesting and very creative. So I got to say, the quirkiness worked yet again for this quirky director. It really did. So, The French Dispatch, I am going to give this film an 8 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.